Taichi is a weak, lazy bum who accidentally gets Isekai'd after a magic spell goes wrong. However, when he learns that he has a cheat skill that can control gods, he becomes the strongest magician ever and destroys everyone. But before this, Taichi is walking to school one day with his childhood best friend Rin, when a leaf flies by him and calls his name. As he turns in shock, he sees a bicycle coming towards them, but successfully saves himself and Rin from getting Isekai'd.
Oh, hell no!
Just then, a magic circle appears beneath Taichi's feet, and he realizes he cannot defeat the Isekai gods today. He quickly pushes Rin out of the circle, but the chick refuses to let go of him, and moments later, the two wake up in another world. Rin doesn't understand where they are and uses her cell phone to call home, but Taichi tells her from his extensive weeb experience that they aren't on Earth anymore. She assumes he's on crack until a possessed horse shows up and attacks them. Taichi saves Rin from becoming minced meat, then convinces her to run away, but she refuses. He ignores her and deals with the horse by using a pebble as big as his brain, which doesn't work. However, right before he gets barbecued, Saitama's twin, along with his two partners, attack the savage horse and defeat it in one go, saving them. That night, the trio reveals that they are adventurers and offer to take both Taichi and Rin to the nearest city in the morning. However, even though Taichi is stoked, Rin still appears upset for some reason. Taichi later goes to her and asks what he did to make her angry this time, but Rin snaps and tells him never to try to unalive himself again. He argues he was just acting like a giga chat, but eventually apologizes, and they make up by sharing a fist bump. The next morning, the group reaches the city, where Taichi and Rin decide to become adventurers to make a living. After bidding farewell to the other adventurers, they arrive at the guild to register, where the receptionist brings out a glass orb and asks them to place their hands on it so she can record their magic power. Rin tries her luck first, believing she won't have any magic as she is just a normal human. But as soon as the orb shows all 4 natures of mana, the receptionist loses it and wonders if she is the avatar. Next, Taichi places his hand on the orb and ends up shattering it, which makes the receptionist bring out the guild master and an elf baddie named Mayura. The guild master tells them that they cannot register at their guild unless they go with Mayura to meet someone. And even though the duo starts panicking, the old man reassures them that they will be fine. Later, Mayura takes them to a cottage where a hot girl in a racy plot armor named Lemia greets them. While Rin tries to protect Taichi's virgin eyes, she brings them in and hands them 2 magic devices, explaining that they will measure their magic capacity and strength. After the test is done, Lemia is shocked to see their overpowered results and offers to become their mentor so they can learn to hone their powers better. Meanwhile, a masked vigilante meets up with a suspicious man and explains that he successfully sabotaged the priestess's summoning spell. However, the spell still worked, due to which a nationwide search is ongoing to find the humans who got summoned from another world. Back in Lemia's cottage, she reveals to Taichi that his magic capacity is over 120,000, while Rin's is 37,000, compared to a maximum of 10,000 that regular mages have. Mayura adds that even Lemia, who is the strongest mage in their kingdom, has a capacity of only 43,000, while her own capacity is 35,000, even lower than Rin's. She explains that without learning how to use this much power, they will end up destroying themselves, and suggests that they take up on Lemia's offer. Hearing this, Taichi excitedly asks what he would be able to do once he masters his power, to which Lemia says that he could destroy entire nations single-handedly, and even become a king one day. She further adds that if he becomes a king, he can create a harem full of hot girls.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
So Taichi starts examining her assets to see if she would be a good fit, only for Rin to ruin his fun.
No! God, please, no!
The next morning, as the group has breakfast together, Mayura explains that magic spells are techniques that mages can use if they give their power to magical spirits. Lemia adds that there are only 4 types of spirits: fire, water, earth, and air, and that most people can only use one type. However, while some mages like Mayura can use 2, and even 3, in Lemia's case, Rin is the sole exception who can use all 4 types of magic. This excites Taichi, so he asks what his type is, to which Lemia reveals that he isn't a typical mage, but a sorcerer who doesn't need to rely on borrowed powers from a spirit to use magic or cast magic spells. He can form pacts with the spirits themselves and use them, or he could discard the basic forms of magic altogether and learn ancient sorcery instead, which manipulates light, darkness, and space-time. Later, as Taichi's training arc begins, Lemia shows him how to punch a tree to the ground, but he gets distracted by a strange voice telling him good luck once again. Lemia assumes he's slacking off and drags him toward his next task, while warning that he won't get dinner if he fails today. Meanwhile, Mayura teaches Rin to materialize fire using her imagination, and by recalling her chemistry classes from school, she instantly masters it. This takes the elf girl by surprise, and she praises Rin for being such a quick learner, making her blush. Just then, Rin thinks of burning some kind of gas with her fire, rather than wood or coal, and materializes a blue flame, which totally shocks Mayura. Sometime later, as Taichi is lying in the forest, wondering whether or not he should add Lemia to his future harem, Rin shows up and tells him not to give up so easily. After she helps him up, he tries to materialize his mana again, but this time, the same voice from before tells him to bring it out from the center of his body. When Taichi uses this trick, his mana starts glowing in the palm of his hand, and the voice says they will meet soon. Just then, he opens his eyes and asks Rin whether she heard a voice too, but she says no, and they head back to the cottage to eat dinner. During dinner, Lemia feeds Rin's god complex by praising her for making so much progress on her first day, before turning to Taichi and explaining that his basic training will be learning how to strengthen his body using his mana, at least until they figure out his element type. She tells him to eat up to fuel his body, as this training will require a lot of physical strength. Later that night, while Lemia shows off her fan service, Mayura comes up to her and asks what she thinks about Rin and Taichi. She answers that even though she finds their sudden appearance suspicious, she still believes that if those from the capital got their hands on them, they will become smoked meat. She further reveals that she plans on completing their training within 3 weeks, so that they can become strong enough to defend themselves, which surprises Mayura. These 3 weeks pass, and one evening, Taichi uses physical enhancement to unalive a demon wolf, while Rin deals with a bunch of horned rabbits, wondering why these bunnies want to eat her when they should be herbivores. Using earth and water style attacks, she first weakens the rabbits, then uses lightning to end their game. Just then, Taichi comes up to her and shows off the fangs he collected. Meanwhile, Mayura and Lemia watch them from afar, with the elf glazing Rin as usual, making Lemia wonder if she has the hots for the girl. That night at dinner, she tells the duo to enjoy the food, as this would be their last time freeloading so shamelessly.
You're broke!
When Taichi asks why that is, Lemia reminds him that he came to her to become an adventurer, and says they should head back to town tomorrow to start their new career. Rin agrees with her, so Lemia further warns them to stay on their guard when they are in the city, since they are the lost ones. When Taichi asks what that is, she elaborates that, according to the books, once in a few decades, a space-time portal opens and brings some humans from another world to theirs, or a mage summons them with a magic circle, making Taichi realize that they are the latter. He asks what's the reason behind their summoning, and Lemia says only the one who summoned them here can answer that, to which Mayura adds that summoning magic is extremely rare and only a handful of mages can perform it. Although this makes Rin frustrated at how they will find their summoner, Taichi says this would make things easier because if there are only a few options, one of them is bound to be correct, which Lemia agrees with. Later that night, as Rin sits beside Taichi, he thanks her for following him into this world and says he would have died if she hadn't been with him. Rin says that's not true, but he explains that he only stood up to the horse from before because he wanted to protect her, which rizzes her up. Later that night, while he stares at his glowing hand and wonders if he can really destroy nations, he hears the strange voice again, and it tells him they will meet each other soon, which freaks him out. 2 weeks later, Taichi dreams of this voice calling his name again, and suddenly wakes up. He then recalls how he and Rin moved to the city and started working as E-ranked adventurers, making a living by doing odd jobs and learning about their new world. The next morning, he finds Rin learning the geography of their new world and calls her a nerd. Just then, the waitress hands them a letter from the guild, and he finds it odd that they have been officially summoned, despite being at the bottom tier currently. Later, as they meet with the guild master, he hands them a new mission that involves heading to a bar in the slums and investigating how goods are being stolen from traders on the road and being sold in the slums. Taichi wonders why he is assigning a D-ranked mission to them, to which he says he is just being a cheapskate and trying to save money.
Here comes the money!
Here we go!
As 2 D-ranked parties have failed this mission, and assigning it to a C-ranked one will cost him some bucks. Just as Taichi gets offended, the guildmaster glazes them by saying they are Lemia's students, so he believes that a mission like this would be a piece of cake for them. He also offers to promote them to D rank if they succeed, and the duo quickly agrees. Later, as they head to the local market, Ren says they should be thankful they won't be cleaning sewers and removing rubble anymore. To this, Taichi replies that they could take better jobs if Lemia hadn't advised him against using his power enhancement unless in battle, and whines about how he still can't use more than 30% of it. Rin chuckles and says she wouldn't want him to lose his humanity if he goes beyond that level, which Taichi agrees with too. Just then, Rin spots a fruit seller and rushes to buy some pears, only to learn that the price has doubled from last week, and one piece costs a silver coin now. Taichi translates it to $50 and almost has a heart attack, but the shopkeeper apologizes and says that because most of the fruit is getting stolen during transportation, they are receiving very limited yet insanely expensive stocks. Later, as they buy the pears and eat them anyway, Rin worries that the rumor about monsters attacking transport vehicles might be true, making Taichi mention that it must be connected to their mission too, since the stolen goods are being sold in the slums. That night, they watch a suspect being transported out of the slum bar, which confirms their guess. Moments later, they walk right into the bar like brain-dead idiots, and Taichi asks the bartender to make them 2 glasses of ginger ale. The entire bar laughs upon hearing this, and the bartender tells Taichi to go home to mama and have some milk. The Chad doesn't get offended and asks for some water instead, before settling down and asking the bartender where they can find the stuff that isn't being sold in the market. He explains that their scheme is to find those goods and sell them in the black market for a huge amount of money. This way, they will become millionaires overnight. When the bartender says he isn't interested, Taichi places a pouch full of money on the table, and Ren mentions that they heard he gives any information if paid fairly. This attracts the rest of the money-hungry gooners at the bar, and the duo sighs before beating the crap out of them. One man reveals that he was involved with bringing some cargo to this bar from a wagon that had been attacked, but swears he doesn't know how the attack happened. This gets the bartender speaking too, who calmly says that even though his bar has sold some of the stolen cargo, it's nothing unusual in these parts of the town. As they leave and deduce that those weakling at the bar aren't the ones who off 2D ranked parties, Taichi notices they are being followed, and they start running, only to be stopped by 3 masked baddies blocking their way. One of them instantly attacks them with her sword, but Taichi easily fends against her and says they need to capture them if they want a bonus from the guild master. He puts his sword back and activates physical enhancement, before yeeting one of the girls into a nearby wall. As the second one comes at them, Rin uses an air attack to knock her down, and Taichi punches her face to knock her unconscious. He then turns to their leader and calls her a coward for making her subordinates take all the beating. But just then, the other girl throws a smoke bomb at them. By the time Rin clears out the smoke, the other 2 have already vanished, and they have no choice but to bring the third one back to the guild. That night, when this girl comes to, she finds herself bound to a chair. The guildmaster stands outside her cell and tells her to use her life carefully from now on, as she has been spared by them, and her fellow assassins will never know where she is. The next morning, Taichi and Ren meet with Mayura in a nearby diner and talk about how the food prices have tripled within one day. She congratulates them on getting promoted to D rank instead, and says she wants to form a party with them. After they agree, Mayura reveals that the pear fields in the town from where they imported have been attacked by robbers, and she has been assigned the task of guarding the fields and finding the culprits. She also suspects that these robbers are being protected by a powerful mage, which is why the farmers can't do much about them, and reveals that their reward for capturing the thieves would be 500 silvers. As they set out for the nearby town, Mayura smiles to herself, thinking that she finally has a party of her own, even though she never wanted to make one. Later, when they reach the farm, 2 farmers greet them, along with Cassim, a young boy who shakes hands with Taichi, making him feel something weird, but he shrugs it off. As the farmers take them along to show the pear fields, Rin catches somebody's presence on her staff, and everyone is shocked when a giant, ugly orc, along with his ogre underlings, appears in front of them. As Rin handles the defense, Mayura and Taichi quickly get ready for battle. Moments later, the elf girl effortlessly slices through the ogres with her sword, and Taichi jumps at the big boss with a 35% enhanced punch, which instantly sends it to the afterlife. That night, Rin mentions during a team meeting that orcs and ogres usually don't live in these areas, and Mayura agrees that their presence is suspicious. Rin also assumes that someone planned today's attack, and they eventually decide to wait and watch what their enemy will do next, before making their move. Meanwhile, a sus guy in the forest unalives a bunch of little monsters and collects their blood, saying he will show the adventurers who's boss soon enough. The next morning, as the lady assassin wonders why Taichi didn't unalive her when he easily could have, the guildmaster walks into her cell and asks if she has decided what she will do, to which she nods her head yes. Meanwhile, the gang spots some footprints and a freshly put out fire in the forest, making the farmers feel pissed off at how shameless their robbers are. Just then, Rin's staff starts flashing again, but this time, she feels that their culprit isn't a bunch of ogres, but 3 humans, who are close by. They quickly find the culprits using Rin's magic, and the farmers rush in to beat the daylights out of them. However, when the thieves pull out their swords, they piss their pants and stand back. That's when Taichi aura farms with two baddies by his side and tells the thieves to give up now, since they are up against adventurers. As the losers get caught, they whine about how their female mage ditched them today. Otherwise, she would have easily cooked these adventurers. Upon hearing this, Taichi says he will be sending them to prison for theft, and the farmers quickly grab them and drag them away. As soon as they leave, Cassim thanks Taichi and shakes hands with him, giving him the same weird feeling, but this time, he voices out his concerns and asks why his hands are soft compared to the other farmers who have calluses. He argues that he just oversees the work, but Mayura adds that he instantly recognized the orcs from before too, even though people from these areas wouldn't. That's when he drops the good guy act and reveals that he is actually the one who summoned the orcs here, and the one who made those robbers steal. Just then, his partner Grammy, who turns out to be the female mage, reveals herself too, and Cassim adds that he is also the one who called them here because he wanted to see what they are capable of. As the group quickly draws their weapons, Cassim says he will deal with Taichi while Grammy deals with the girls. Mayura acts first and swings her sword at the girl, but she easily blocks it and says she didn't unalive them while she was hiding because she wanted to taste the battle between them. Just as Mayura wonders if she's not right in the head, Rin unleashes a fire spell on her, only for Grammy to counter it with a whirlwind. She, in turn, casts a wind spell of her own to distract the psycho lady, in hopes of buying enough time for Mayura to activate her physical enhancement. Meanwhile, as Taichi stands against Cassim and asks why he doesn't have a weapon, the boy summons his frosty pet and says he doesn't like to fight himself since he needs to keep his hands soft. To this, Taichi warns him against underestimating him and jumps at the beast to finish it off, only to pass right through it. Cassim laughs and explains that since his pet is an elemental, physical attacks won't work on it. However, since it can attack him, Taichi could use his useless sword for defense. He still tries to verify this by using his sword on the monster, only for it to puke out a bunch of icicles at him, which Taichi barely defends against. Cassim says he understands Taichi must be itching to switch places with the girls, since they can both use fire magic, and calls him a good-for-nothing weakling with nothing but a few good punches. Upon hearing this, Taichi realizes he is doomed and asks Cassim why he is doing this, but the boy doesn't answer and instead pulls out a red blood ball, which he feeds to his Frosty. This transforms him into his red version, who immediately charges at Taichi and knocks him to the ground. The damage makes him cough up blood, but Cassim reassures him that he won't let him die here, as he is an important pawn for him. He further explains that since he wants Taichi's powers, he will use his girls as leverage and throw them into the hands of dirty men if he doesn't obey his commands. At the same time, Rin uses consecutive earth and water attacks to keep Grammy at bay until Mayura finally completes charging and rushes at her. Even as she strikes her with her strongest attack, Grammy only laughs and says her glare is turning her on. Rin notices this and tries to help the elf girl with her earth magic, but Grammy shields herself with Mayura's body, forcing her to undo the spell. She then punches Mayura in the guts and sends her flying, before charging at Rin. As both the girls lie half dead on the ground, Grammy says she is disappointed that they turned out to be such weaklings, but Mayura laughs and says she won't say this after they are done with round 2. As they both stand back up, Rin says they should revert to their original battle strategy, and Mayura instantly charges at Grammy with her sword. Just as she accuses them of using the same puny tactics again, Rin appears from behind with her lightning sword, which forces Grammy to jump back. However, Mayura gets behind her and kicks her in the guts, after which Rin impales her with her lightning sword. This only serves to make Grammy feel hot in the belly, and she tells the girls to come at her even harder. Rin casts a whirlwind in response and sets fire to it, only for Mayura to finish the game with a final strike of her fire-coated sword. Just as Grammy lies on the ground covered in her blood, Cassim comes up and shows off the mess he has turned Taichi into. He further asks the girls to do as he says if they want Taichi to live, while the loser curses his trashy luck and wishes he could do something to save them. Just then, he hears the same strange voice in his mind, which introduces itself as the Wind Spirit and offers to give him enough strength to defeat Cassim. Moments later, Taichi gets resurrected from the brink of death in Aura Farms, while laughing at how easy it is for him to cheat. Cassim orders his red beast to attack him, but Taichi easily answers it with his wind magic, which devours the beast, along with its attack. Seeing this, Cassim and Grammy quickly start to flee like cowards, only for Taichi to tell them to stop and swear he will destroy them. Moments later, as Cassim runs away with a severed arm, along with a wounded Grammy, they admit that they underestimated Taichi's strength. Meanwhile, He lies unconscious in the forest, and the girls try to heal his injuries. A few days later, Taichi wakes up in Lemia's house and blushes as she walks into his room, wondering if he's here because they clapped. Later, she feeds him a hefty lunch, and after he has eaten enough for the entire neighborhood, she settles down and explains why he's here. It turns out that during his last battle, he depleted all of his mana stores and fell into a coma. She further explains that after he didn't regain consciousness for 3 days, Mayura and Rin brought him here, and she kept him alive. Taichi quickly thanks her for her help and explains all that happened in the forest, starting with the weird red balls that Cassim had. Lemia explains that it's called a crimson pact, which uses a forbidden magic that extracts mana from human and monster blood and condenses it into orbs. These orbs, if consumed by any beast or a human, increase their power by multiple folds. Taichi agrees that he couldn't even scratch the monster that consumed it until the wind spirit named Ariel contacted him and gave him plot armor. This surprises Lemia so much that she gets up from her chair and says that if Ariel really contacted him, Taichi's true sorcerer form must be a summoner. She further explains that not only can summoners form pacts with spirits, but they also allow the spirits to unleash their full, unfiltered power through them, which explains the unreal strength Taichi felt during his last fight. Later, as Taichi sits in a cafe and considers this overpowered skill cheating, the waitress comes up to him and says she is glad he is alright now. She also mentions that Rin and Mayura aren't back since they left early in the morning, and Taichi quickly sets out to find them. At the same time, inside an inn, Cassim kneels before his master, Lord, who is amused to learn that Taichi unalived his red beast with just wind magic. He mentions that the spectacle must have been worth losing an arm, which makes Cassim grit his teeth until Lord says he has another mission for them. He stands up and walks up to Grammy, saying that he needs to knock some sense into her before that. As Cassim tries to defend her, Lord takes her hand and gives her a weird gang tattoo, which makes her fall to her knees. Just then, 2 weird hooded girls walk into the room and ask their master to head to the carnival, and he leaves after placing an invitation down for Taichi. At the same time, as Taichi wanders through the streets, he comes across a pair of losers who are hitting on a girl. As soon as he calls out to them, the girl smiles and rushes to his side, pretending that they are partners. After taking one look at her bouncy melons, Taichi agrees to play his part too, only for one of the men to charge at him with a punch. Taichi quickly dodges and kicks him in the nuts, after which both guys run away. As soon as the girl turns to him and thanks him for saving her, Taichi says that the way she broke free from that guy, he can tell she could have saved herself. He then asks why she was pretending to be a weak girl when she is clearly a Mary Sue, only for her to reveal that they have met before. As Taichi runs his empty brain, he realizes that she is the assassin that he captured before, and she finally introduces herself as Anastasia. She then takes him on an infiltration mission and explains that she is now working with the guild, particularly on the stolen goods and monster attacks case. Taichi asks why she has brought him to this particular inn, so she explains that it just stood out to her due to the extreme security. As they knock out 2 guards standing at a door, they finally make it into the room where Cassim and Lord were sitting just moments ago. Although it is now empty, Taichi still finds the invitation left by the boss and cannot believe his eyes. At the same time, Mayura and Rin wander through the local market, discussing the soaring prices of basic needs, when the elf girl starts teasing Rin about her crush on Taichi. She blushes but doesn't deny it, while Mayura reassures her that he will be fine under Lemia's care. Just then, one of Cassim's minions attacks them, but Mayura defends herself with her sword, while Rin casts a wind spell to completely smoke him. However, a fire spell gets in her way, and the girls discover that this psycho isn't working alone. Right then, Grammy appears from under her invisibility cloak and punches Mayura in the guts using the power of her new tattoo, which completely knocks her out. She then runs away while carrying the elf girl, while Rin is left behind to fight against Grammy's underlings. At the same time, Taichi investigates what's written in the document left behind, which leads him to an underground tunnel. He tells Anastasia that if this document is authentic, they will find a horde of monsters enhanced with the Crimson Pact somewhere in this tunnel. Just then, they come across a door, and as Anastasia unlocks it using her assassin skills, Taichi says that he was hoping that the guild would let her live a normal, quiet life now, instead of making her do all sorts of dangerous stuff. He adds that he doesn't know whether he feels good or bad about her current situation, but is glad that she is alive, which rizzes up the chick. Meanwhile, after Rin finally barbecues the rest of the minions, Grammy reappears and tells her that she didn't kidnap Mayura because she wanted to, but because she was forced to. Rin doesn't understand why she is trying to join the good side suddenly, But Grammy reveals that Mayura was taken to the nearby clock tower, where her employer is planning to form a crimson pact with her, and tells Rin to hurry up and save her. She quickly leaves for the tower, but when she gets there, she finds Mayura hanging above a red magic circle with a bunch of sadists surrounding her. Their leader reveals that they won't let her rescue the elf because she is going to be their sacrifice for a ritual. But this triggers Rin's power of friendship and sends the leader flying. She freezes the rest of the minions and uses earth magic to shatter the ground and break the magic spell. As Mayura opens her eyes, Rin breaks her chains and catches her, telling her that she is all right now. However, just before any rainbow plot develops, Lord makes his debut, along with Cassim, and praises Rin for winning her battle without unaliving anyone. Rin tells him when it's his turn, she won't hold back, only for him to explain that he isn't here to fight her, but to warn her. It turns out this entire kidnapping was just a ruse to lure her here, and Lord reveals that in only a few hours, their town will be attacked by about 3,000 monsters, which will easily destroy it. Rin says Tai Chi won't let that happen, only to learn from Cassim that Tai Chi has been trapped elsewhere. Later, as Lord walks through the street market with Cassim, he says that his scheme has a 90% chance of being a success. He asks Cassim how many monsters they have prepared, only to learn they have around 2,000 above the ground, and 5,000 below, which the mage thinks is cruel. However, his boss doesn't care, being the sadist that he is, and says that he can't wait for the battle to begin. At the same time, a huge goblin stands before Anastasia, but Tai Chi saves her and rizzes her up, promising that he won't let her get hurt, no matter what happens. He also reminds her they have a clapping session to perform later, which makes the girl blush. Just then, Tai Chi activates physical enhancement and punches the goblin to the ground, turning it into rubble. Just as he pats himself on the back for doing this, another door opens, and the little girls from before welcome Tai Chi in, calling him strong. Just as they introduce themselves as Milo and Mello, Tai Chi notices the red pods all around them and realizes they contain sleeping goblins. He asks the girls if they are behind this, and they say yes, explaining that their task now is to awaken all these goblins and unleash them upon the city. Just then, they pull out a glass orb and activate it, only for the crimson red from Cassim's orb to manifest and reveal to Tai Chi that this is just an extension of his grand scheme. As soon as the goblins break free from their pods, Tai Chi tells Anastasia to hide behind him, and the girl quickly forgets that she used to be an assassin. Just as the monsters jump at Tai Chi, he uses his magic enhancement to slice them off with bare hands while reminding himself to hold back. However, the situation goes south when the goblins attack the girls instead, which makes them drop the orb and break it. Tai Chi quickly stabs them using his sword to protect the girls, and tells them this is why they should never play with other people's toys. They quickly apologize and reveal that there are hundreds of such monsters hidden under the city, and Tai Chi cannot believe his luck. Right then, the damsel in distress gets surrounded by the goblins, and Tai Chi has to protect her like her personal bodyguard. As more monsters start appearing, he turns to Anastasia and says he will be keeping her up all night as payment for his services. At the same time, Mayura and Rin inform the guild master about the threat they just received, and after ordering to mobilize all the adventurers in the city, he wishes that Tai Chi was here to save the day. This pisses off Rin, who says that even if Tai Chi isn't here, she can still protect the city herself, and Mayura adds that they still have plenty of other mages to depend on. The guildmaster agrees and says he should start acting like their leader soon too. Just then, Lemia enters the office and says she wants to show off her power too, and tells both the girls that she is proud of how far they've come. Later, as all of them are discussing their battle strategy, Lemia says she will use her magic to wipe out all the weaker monsters in the front line. However, since it will leave her weakened, their army of 180 adventurers would have to fend against the rest of the monsters until she recovers. The guildmaster doesn't object to this until Rin speaks up and says she can wipe the front lines easily by combining her wind, water, and fire magic types to create a makeshift bomb. The noobs don't understand it, so she explains that if a burning hot giant rock is added to water, it will jump around in the pot and make it explode like a volcano. Their combined final brain cell still doesn't get it, but since it sounds cool, they let her try her experiment. As the battle begins and the monster army approaches the town, Rin prepares to cast her spell and starts with some lightning magic to dig a hole in the ground. As a bunch of monsters fall into this hole, she follows it with a water spell that fills it up. Following this, she creates a giant boulder made of rock and sets fire to it, heating it up to the point of creating lava. As everyone watches this lost episode from Dr. Stone in shock, Rin lowers her lava ball into the water pool below, and moments later, her makeshift bomb bursts. This unalives more than half of the monsters, and right before Rin collapses from exhaustion, Mayura catches her and tells her she did well. Rin says she can still fight, and Lemia supports this, saying that it is time for their counterattack. As the city gates open, all the adventurers rush out to dog-walk the monsters, including Mayura. Lemia, on the other hand, uses a powerful fire spell to burn them, while fueling her god complex and saying these weaklings are no match for her. Meanwhile, Cassim and his boss are watching these scenes from afar, with Lord praising Rin for the spell she used, but at the same time, delivering a monologue about how she will still not hinder his world domination scheme. Just then, the Guildmaster receives news that around 200 monsters, amped with the Crimson Pact, are making their way to the battlefield. However, as soon as he starts panicking, Taichi returns drenched in radioactive blood and apologizes for being late. He leaves the twins in the tent with the Guildmaster and decides to set off to help his girls, only for Anastasia to stop him and ask if she can come along. Taichi says she will only get in his way, being the damsel that she is, and asks her to stay in the tent and protect the twins instead. Back on the battlefield, these monsters appear before the girls, and Lemia cannot imagine how many humans and beasts were unalive to create so many Crimson Pacts. Just then, the three bosses of the group show up and piss off Lemia, who strikes them with her staff and burns them with a fire magic spell. However, she quickly realizes that she needs to bring out her big guns for this, and asks Mayura and Rin to hold the enemies for 30 seconds. During this time, she recites some voodoo spell and asks the wind spirit to lend her some plot armor. However, even though this spell wipes out all the small fries, the three sunburned commanders still stand tall and mock them. Rin says that the three of them can just fight them in a one-on-one battle, and Lemia and Mayura charge at the orcs with their fire magic. Rin, on the other hand, uses a lightning spell to take down her opponent, but soon realizes that it didn't work. Seeing this, she quickly gets nerfed and falls to her knees, saying that even if she dies, Taichi will still defeat them all. While Lemia and Mayura watch her like statues, she continues her speech and regrets that she couldn't tell him that she's thankful for his presence in her life, right before the orc smashes her. However, Taichi appears just then and grabs the orc's arm, reassuring Rin that her Superman has arrived. He quickly punches the orc and destabilizes him, before using this opening to try his wrestling moves on him and smashing him to the ground. As Taichi later stretches his shoulder and feels glad that physical attacks work on these monsters, Miura asks what level of enhancement he just used, to which he replies it was 100%. Just then, the commander he just smashed starts moving again, so he asks Lemia to watch his back while he goes back to teach them who's boss. Rin stops him for a bit, and they share a fist bump while smiling at each other, right before he turns to battle all three commanders at once. Seeing this, Cassim says to Lord that Taichi is beyond human at this point, but the mastermind doesn't get fazed and says that no matter what he tries to do, in the end, their strategy will succeed. Meanwhile, as news about Taichi going up against three orcs at once reaches the army tents, Anastasia overhears it and recalls the promise he made to her. This reminds her of all the lives she has taken in her previous profession, and she realizes that Taichi is the only one who has ever seen her as a woman, not a weapon. However, just as she decides that she will follow in his footsteps and help all these people, a sus person whispers something in her ear, after which she gets hypnotized and starts walking toward the battlefield. At the same time, as everyone teams up to defend Taichi, including Milo, and his baddie harem, Taichi takes on the orcs and punches them in their thick skulls, until none of them can stand back up anymore. However, just as he thinks he is done, the ground splits open, and a two-headed dragon breaks out of it. Lemia finds this weird, as dragons never interfere with the battles of men and monsters, but the mastermind reveals to Cassim that this is all part of his plan. Just then, as Rin approaches Taichi, he asks Lemia if it was all the commotion that awakened this dragon, but she reveals that their dens are so deep into the ground that they couldn't even hear it. Mayura asks if Taichi is planning to fight it, to which he says that he can't really rely on useless side characters like her, so he has no choice. He then turns to Lemia and tells her to evacuate everyone on the battlefield and in town, but Rin insists on staying, reminding Taichi that they promised to live and die together. However, as soon as everyone leaves, Taichi tells Rin to stay out of this battle because if she gets hurt, he will lose his mind. After rizzing her up, he immediately runs toward the dragon and punches him, only for the beast to instantly block it and push him back. It then unleashes back-to-back fire breaths at Taichi, which he easily dodges, only to end his winning streak by whipping him away with his tail. As he barely survives this and wonders why the dragon didn't unalive him when he easily could have, Anastasia shows up and says they need to treat his wounds as soon as possible. Taichi is surprised to see her and asks why she is here, which breaks the spell on her, so she wonders the same thing herself. Meanwhile, as the dragon gets tired of being treated like a third wheel, he unleashes his fire breath at them, but Anastasia shields Tai Chi and gets smoked in his stead. During her final moments, she thanks Tai Chi for always seeing her as a human being and almost requests him to clap her if she makes it out of this alive. But just then, she sees Rin and realizes she will always be a side chick. So she asks him to become friends with her instead, before passing out. This triggers Tai Chi's character development arc, and he yells at Ariel to show herself at once. She immediately complies and appears before him, dressed in barely any plot armor, and apologizes for not being able to save Anastasia. Tai Chi blames her for it too, calling her a fraud, but Ariel says she cannot give him his powers unless he commands her to. This makes him realize that he never had any resolve to use her powers in the first place, so whatever happened to Anastasia is his fault. He admits that he just got scared of the fact that he had the power to destroy all mankind, but realizes that what he really needs is to use this power to protect his loved ones. Once his resolve is clear, he asks Ariel to lend him her strength, and she quickly agrees. Moments later, he stands up with a godly aura surrounding him and tells Rin he has become a true summoner. After leaving Anastasia with her, he goes to the dragon and asks what a superior being like him is doing in this battle. But the dragon tells Tai Chi to show him his strength first, after which he will answer all his questions. With this, the dragon attacks Tai Chi with its twin fire breath, which he counters with a wind spell of his own, and ultimately overpowers the beast. As everyone else watches this with their jaws on the ground, the dragon commends Tai Chi for what he did and reveals that his only goal in this battle was to test the limits of his strength, at the request of someone powerful. Before leaving, he reassures Tai Chi that this individual is guiding him and will continue to do so, and tells him to become stronger. Later that night, Lord meets up with his boss lady, who is delighted to learn about how well Tai Chi performed, and says that she will test him with a country-level threat after this. In the aftermath of the battle, the city slowly goes back to normal, and Tai Chi bids farewell to Anastasia at her grave. He then freeloads at Lemia's house, where he summons Ariel and introduces her to the other girls, all of whom think she is the cutest thing on earth. Just as Lemia glazes Tai Chi for being able to summon spirits now, they all notice the royal carriage approaching their house and realize that something is about to cook. Soon enough, a girl named Alcina meets up with them and reveals that Lemia has been summoned to the royal capital by the king, along with her students. Although she finds it fishy, they all get in the carriage and worry about what the reason for their summoning might be. On the other hand, Tai Chi enjoys his beauty sleep, which doesn't sit right with Rin, so she wakes him up and tells him they should feel anxious together. Just then, Alcina explains that although their kingdom is governed by the current king, Gilmar, and all the factions that support him, the opposition from his chopped brother Dortisheim has recently become stronger. This happened after Gilmar decided to send his mages to other countries to help them in their affairs, and Dortisheim opposed this like some spoiled brat who doesn't believe in sharing. Alcina explains that because of this, a civil war is about to break out between the factions supporting each brother, and the king has asked for their help in winning this war. This doesn't sit right with Rin, who is still suffering from the aftermath of the First War, but before she says something, their destination arrives. The group quickly notices how unwelcoming the citizens are and how the capital has turned into a ghost town. On the other hand, Lemia starts suspecting that the king has something to do with Tai Chi and Rin's summoning, but when she asks Alcina about it, she shrugs her off. Just then, an arrow flies toward her, but Tai Chi catches it with his bare hand, and he realizes that someone wants him dead. It turns out to be one of Dortisheim's schemes, as he considers Tai Chi and Rin a threat to his rebellion. Meanwhile, as Alcina leads the gang to the royal court, she introduces them to Bella, the head magician of the army, and Sumela, the army general, both of whom are 10-on-10 baddies, but in different flavors. Just then, the Dilf King Gilmar makes it to his throne and starts glazing Tai Chi and Rin for their achievements during the latest war. Just then, Lemia tells him to quit his yapping and get to the point already, which makes all the attendants call her insolent and ask that she get kicked out. However, Gilmar tells everyone else to leave instead, before turning to Lemia and saying that she never changes. As she smiles back at him, Tai Chi wonders if they were friends with benefits before the king got hitched. But his attention gets stolen when Lemia accuses Gilmar of being the one who summoned Rin and Tai Chi here. He stares at her for a bit before admitting it was him, which blows Tai Chi's fuse. He then lashes out at the old man for ruining the peaceful lives he and Rin had in their own world, and Lemia agrees with him, blaming Gilmar for forcing others to clean up after his mess. However, the king just apologizes and promises to bear full responsibility for his actions. Later that day, as Rin tells Taichi, he sounded like a total Giga Chad when he stood up against the king. Alcina knocks at their door and says that Charlotte, the kingdom's princess, is here to see them. This surprises Rin, but not as much as when Charlotte reveals that it was actually she who summoned them here on her father's orders, and that she is a unique mage who can manipulate time and space. She apologizes for dropping them in a field full of monsters when she first summoned them, and explains that it happened because Dortisim's assassin got in her way. She also explains that the only one she wanted to summon was Taichi, because he fit the profile of someone who had compassion, strength, and could understand their language. However, Rin got sucked into the spell when the assassin messed it all up. After dumping all the blame on the assassin, Charlotte starts crying and says she cannot send them back to their own world because the summoning spell can only be conducted once in a lifetime. Just as she promises that she will eventually find a way, even if it costs her soul, Taichi and Rin tell her it's okay and that returning them can wait until the war is over. Just then, Lemia bursts into the room and tells Taichi to get down to the training grounds at once. As soon as he gets down there, Sumela challenges him to a duel, saying that she doesn't like how he has stolen the king's attention from her. Before Taichi even gets to explain that he isn't into old geezers, she jumps him, and he barely manages to counter her attack with his sword. Right then, Lemia reveals to Rin that she orchestrated this duel because if Taichi cannot prove his worth to the people of this town, they will be frowned upon for being outsiders. Meanwhile, as Taichi starts getting cooked, he thinks about showing them who's boss by summoning Ariel. However, he quickly discards the idea as he cannot reveal his sugar mommy to them yet. Instead, he uses physical enhancement to strengthen his sword, just as Sumela charges at him and says he cannot win against her because she is trying to unalive him. As soon as their swords meet, Taichi's sword breaks hers, making her eat her words, so she switches to physical combat. Taichi dodges all of her punches and eventually strangles her leg, making her fall on her rear, with him on top of her. The Chad finishes the battle by punching the ground right next to her head, making Sumela smile and thank him for fighting her. However, she quickly turns the tables and gets on top of Taichi, asking if he would like to marry her. Just as he looks at her all confused, she explains that no man has ever rizzed her up the way that he has, so even if he has already chosen a wife, she would be okay with being his clapping buddy. This traumatizes the virgin so much that he screams that he doesn't want to marry anyone, all while Rin and Mayura stare at the scene, dumbfounded. That night, Taichi summons Ariel and admits that he is scared of hurting people due to his overpowered ability, and says that he doesn't want Rin to hurt anyone either. He explains that it is especially because they have only fought monsters so far, not humans, and Ariel taps his head, calling him kind. He later enters Rin's room to trauma dump on her, but accidentally ends up seeing her without her plot armor, fresh out of the shower. While he runs off to cleanse his virgin eyes, Lord is revealed to be Charlotte's subordinate and the king's high cardinal. The next morning, Taichi finds Rin in the royal garden, watering the dying plants, and says that they should go join the ongoing meeting. At the same time, Dortisim hosts a meeting to decide his next move, but his noble buddies start arguing over whether they should launch a surprise attack or wait until they have enough intel on the new mages that the king has hired. To settle the argument, Dortisim tells his underling, Nilgan, that if he has the means to attack the royal palace, he is free to do so. Nilgan bows his head and thanks the duke, saying that his army is ready. This news reaches the capital as Sumela reveals to the king that a rebel troop of 1,000 soldiers is on its way to attack their castle. However, since they have around 8,000 soldiers in their army, she believes that the rebels won't pose a big threat to them. The king breathes a sigh of relief as well and asks Bella about their mages, only to learn they have about 800 mages, ready to battle too. Just then, Charlotte inquires what would become of Taichi and Rin, and Sumela reassures her that they will become a part of their army too. Later, when they discuss their battle strategy with Lemia, she says that only 1,000 soldiers leading a revolt seems sus and wonders if they have planned any additional surprise attacks. Sumela replies that the enemy forces got divided after an internal conflict, which is why Nilgan's army is charging on its own. While the two girls discuss how to counter the troops in the morning, Taichi and Rin stare at the scene like it's their school's math class, and realize that they do not understand a word. Lemia turns to them and says that they just need to remember one thing, that if they do not have the resolve to attack their opponent, they will get devoured on the battlefield. Just as Taichi gulps, Sumela whispers into his ear that if he manages to survive tomorrow, she will reward him with her cake, which makes the virgin blush. That night, just as Rin gets ready for bed, Taichi knocks at her door and says that she needs to sleep on time tonight so she can wake up early for tomorrow's battle. He tries to say something else but decides not to, only for Rin to stop him and request that he sleep in her room tonight. As he blushes and walks in, Rin collapses in her bed and recalls how she used to feel anxious before her tennis matches back in school, and compares that anxiety to how she is feeling right now. She also admits that she is worried about the people she will inevitably need to unalive tomorrow, despite believing that no life deserves to be lost during war. Taichi settles down next to her and says that she doesn't need to join the battle tomorrow, since she only got into this mess because of him. However, she reminds him that she chose to follow him into this world and says that she will fight alongside him, no matter what. This rizzes him up, so he promises to be her protector, which finally puts her mind at ease. As she rests her head against his shoulder, Taichi gets turned on and tries to develop plot with her. However, he suddenly feels someone's presence nearby and gets distracted. He quickly gets up and casually covers the curtains in Rin's room, right around the time when Lemia and Mayura discuss how Rin's V card might not be safe tonight, as Taichi is going to sleep in her room. Just then, Lemia feels a weird presence nearby too and looks out of the window, but finds no one outside. Later that night, a cloaked man sneaks into Rin's room and stabs her while she is sleeping, only to later discover that it was just a pillow. Right then, the gang comes out of a hidden room and tells the intruder that they sensed him hours before he slipped into the palace. Seeing that they played him like a fool pisses off the masked man, so he takes it out on Rin by attacking her. However, Taichi narrowly saves her and loses his mind, repeatedly attacking and punching him until Lemia tells him it's enough. Just then, the man escapes and jumps out of the balcony, while everyone stares at his dead body, wondering what in the world just happened. As the war begins the following morning, Taichi stands on top of the castle and locates the incoming army. After summoning Ariel, he commands her to cast a powerful wind spell that creates a trench in front of Nilgen's troops, halting their approach. Taichi assumes that they will have to go around the trench to come at them now, which will break their formation, but Sumela notices that they aren't carrying any weapons to a battle this dangerous and finds it weird. Just then, Nilgen commands his army to begin their operation, and they quickly create magic circles to open fire at the royal army. As their own troops fall one by one, Bella says that they shouldn't be able to cast such high-grade spells so easily, so Taichi uses his magic eyes to discover that all of the soldiers are wearing the same ring on their fingers. Lamia uses her Sherlock skills to deduce they are using magic stones, but explains that since these stones help regular people cast spells more powerful than their actual mana reserves, it feeds on their life force instead. Bella adds that within the next few minutes, many of these soldiers will start dying one by one, and suspects that most of them don't even know about this. While the random side characters all believe that they should let their enemy unalive itself, Bella says that they cannot let their own citizens die, which Taichi agrees with too. Just then, Lemia comes up with a master plan and asks for Rin's assistance, which she gladly offers. Meanwhile, as Nilgen's troops start collapsing one by one, he uses his telescope to find that Rin is about to do something, so he orders his men to blast her with stones using earth magic. However, Ariel puts up a barrier around Rin on Taichi's command, while Mayura slashes through the few that make it past their defense. On the other hand, as Rin prepares herself for her biggest achievement ever, the other mages combine their forces to cast a powerful ball of wind, which they send flying right about the enemy lines. Just then, Rin infuses her lightning magic into the ball of wind to trigger the clouds, which results in heavy rain. Just as Nilgen wonders what kind of science experiment they are trying to perform, Rin follows it with a second lightning strike, which electrocutes all the troops through the muddy water. As everyone else falls unconscious, Nilgen spots Enimicus, the Duke's right-hand man, who mocks him for losing so badly after talking so big back at their meeting. Nilgen gets angry and grabs his collar, blaming him for selling him such useless magic rings, only for Enimicus to stab him and state that his role is now over. That night, when Taichi finds Rin after escaping the town celebrations, she shows him that the plants she was trying to save in the morning are finally blooming. The next morning, Taichi wakes up with Rin on top of him, and wonders what kind of raided situation he is in. However, he quickly realizes she is trying to wake him up and blushes, moments before he has to rush to the toilet to throw up. Later, as he makes it to the breakfast table, Rin asks if she is so ugly that it makes him puke, but he apologizes and says it happened because he ate too much last night. Just then, Lemia and Mura enter their room and reveal that they have all been summoned by Gilmar. At the royal court, King Gilmar commends the gang for saving his city and rewards them with a bunch of expensive, high-quality weapons from his personal collection. Charlotte brings the collection out and asks everyone to choose whatever they like, and Lemia replies that they will take up on the offer. Mayura selects a handy dagger, Rin finds herself a fancy staff, and Lemia chooses a ring studded with a rare magic stone. When it is Taichi's turn, he is stunned to find a katana in the king's collection and quickly picks it up, saying that this is something he has dreamed of since childhood. Later, as the gang heads to the training ground, Sumela tells Taichi to come and test his new weapon on his future wife, and Lemia instantly permits him to do so. While Mayura and Rin decide to test their weapons as well, Sumela pushes Taichi to the ground and starts heating his sausage until the virgin's brain cells stop working. Later, he replenishes his energy with some ancient Gatorade as he heads to the local market, only to find people staring at him as if they just saw a ghost. However, he soon realizes that they are just his fanboys who still cannot believe the way he saved them yesterday. Right then, a bunch of kids approach Taichi and ask him to tattoo their faces with his name. While Ariel feels proud of him, after the autograph signing is done, Taichi walks up to a secluded place and tells Cassim to come out of hiding now. As soon as he does and mocks him for becoming a superstar overnight, Taichi notices his severed arm and asks how it happened, only for Cassim to remind him it was his doing. When Taichi still can't remember doing this, Cassim laughs, saying that he is so lucky that he can't even feel bad, thanks to his premature dementia, while he has to live every single day, wallowing in his defeat. He then warns Taichi that he will definitely cook him, saying that he has no right to refuse him after what he to him. He also states that if Taichi won't agree to fight him one-on-one, all the water in the kingdom will be poisoned. Meanwhile, as Mira and Rin duel with each other, Sumela informs Lemia that Dordesheim's army has completed more than half of their battle prep and will be attacking them soon. This makes Lemia realize that an all-out war is inevitable, and she wonders how many soldiers will lose their lives because of it. On the other hand, Cassim leads Taichi to his chosen battleground and says he will fight him here, but under one condition. He then pulls out a secret magic item and says that once Taichi consumes it, his magic power will become equal to his, after which they will be able to decide which one of them is better. Taichi argues that the same magic power will result in a draw, but Cassim says that if their base is the same, what will differentiate them is the amount of hard work they put into their training. This pisses off Taichi, so he questions if Cassim believes he hasn't worked hard. But the psychopath laughs and replies that gifted people are all the same. With this, Taichi takes on the battle and swears to prove his superiority without any cheat codes, all while Ariel keeps warning him that Cassim is just rage-baiting. Before the battle begins, Cassim unleashes the sus magic that successfully limits Taichi's powers as promised, and both of them get ready for action. Taichi casts a wind spell first, which Cassim dodges and answers with a strike of his sword, which he stops with his brand new katana. He then tries to trick Cassim by attacking him with wind magic from behind, but he dodges and replies with his water bullets. Taichi evades this, and once Cassim loses his dagger, the two end up in a catfight until they get tired and decide to end it in one final blow. Cassim becomes the first to cast a big ball of water, while Taichi recalls his training and tries to imagine how he will counter it. As soon as the ball gets unleashed, he uses the katana to slice through it, which creates an impact strong enough to send the femboy flying against a wall. After losing the will to continue, Cassim quietly admits that he's a big fat loser and tells Taichi that once he breaks the magic object, the limit on him will be lifted. But just then, the lords of anime step in, and a weird genie leaks out of the object. Taichi tries to slice through it with his sword too, but it doesn't work, so Grammy suddenly appears to defend the loser against it. However, even after she destroys the magic object, the genie doesn't disappear. Cassim begins shaking with fear, and suspects that Lord is the one behind it. Meanwhile, Taichi realizes he has no choice but to aura farm now. He quickly tells Ariel to condense the air around the monster, and triggers a lightning spell of his own. He then directs it at the monster, and crushes all of its particles using air pressure, finally getting rid of it. Sometime later, as Taichi feels his power returning, he makes up with Cassim, who is later taken away by Grammy. That night, Lord meets up with the real mastermind behind all that has gone wrong yet, who is amused at how Taichi dealt with the genie issue. She tells Lord that he should start preparing for his bigger scheme and get ready to do whatever he wants to. At the same time, while everyone starts preparing for the upcoming war, Taichi tells Rin that he will protect her, no matter what happens, but she tells him to quit acting like such a Sigma. She further says that she isn't some damsel in distress who can't fight, so she will fight to protect him too, and they share a fist bump. The next morning, Dordesheim prepares for the war and calculates that the only thing he isn't sure about is Taichi's abilities. Otherwise, he has everything under control. Enimicus says that he has a scheme to counter him too, if needed, and Dordesheim thanks the heavens for blessing him with such an evil sidekick. He then asks whether he will be portrayed as a villain or a hero in future books, to which Enimicus says both, right before they set out. Moments later, Gilmar shouts an hour-long speech at his soldiers too, just before both armies clash with each other. Meanwhile, Taichi reminds himself that he needs to use his powers to protect his loved ones and nothing else. As Mayura, Lemia, and Rin all wreak havoc against their opponents, Taichi turns into Hinata Shoyo and jumps from one end of the battlefield to the other, using Ariel's powers. At the same time, Lord meets up with his sugar mommy too, and they discuss how Taichi will overcome this adversity and whether or not he will use his cheat codes. Back on the battlefield, a psycho baddie named Susora challenges Rin to a duel and swears that she will be the one to take her down. She introduces herself as an A-ranked adventurer, but when she learns that Rin is C-ranked, she has difficulty believing that Rin was giving her soldiers a hard time at that level. On the other hand, Sumela ripoff faces Mayura and tells her that beautiful women like her only exist to please men and become their baby machines, so it is foolish for her to pick up a sword like this. He also says that swords only exist for powerful men like him who protect their countries and their wives, and Mayura gets ready to beat this delulu out of him. She quickly coats her sword with her flames and claims that she will finish him with a single move. The Nalia wannabe, on the other hand, says he would have taken her as his clapping buddy if she had been more feminine, as he counters her strike with his own sword. Eventually, he disarms her, thinking that he won, only for Mayura to slice him open from behind, using her new dagger. At the same time, as Lemia is about to wipe out her prisoners, a mage freezes her staff and says that her life now belongs to him. This loser turns out to be some insomniac who took too much Red Bull, but Lemia reassures him she will put him to sleep soon enough. As the battle begins, Lemia counters his icicles with her fire and sends him flying with a single slash of her wind magic, which ends this wannabe's career. Just as he admits defeat, she asks if he has any last wishes before barbecuing him with a ball of flames. Back on the enemy side, Taichi makes it into Dortisheim's camp and casually flexes Ariel, making everyone else escape and leave him alone to talk to the big boss and his sidekick. He quickly gets down to business and tells Dortisheim that he had a hard time convincing Gilmar to let him come and talk to him here, before revealing that he has come to offer him peace. He further states that he knows both he and Gilmar want the same thing at their core, which is the betterment of their people, and tells Dortisheim that if he withdraws his troops right now and admits his mistake, the king will forgive his men and let him off the hook with minimal punishment. This threatens Enimicus, so he pulls a secret dark magic trick that starts turning all their dead soldiers into zombies. Meanwhile, Dortisheim refuses to accept this proposal and, in turn, asks Taichi why he is letting Gilmar use him when he has the power to overthrow him and become the king himself. Taichi thinks for a bit, then says he has no interest in turning his carefree life difficult by adding more responsibilities to it, which makes the Duke laugh. He then says that if things were different and Taichi were on his side instead, he would have listened to his proposal. However, since he believes that some things need to be achieved even at the cost of blood, he will not change his mind. Just then, Ariel notices the black smoke behind Enimicus and tells Taichi that something is up with him. On the other hand, Susora tells Rin that even though she is stronger than her expectations, she will still never defeat her. Just then, she jumps in the air and easily dodges Rin's flames, before charging back at her with her own fire magic. This ends up burning Rin's leg, but she counters it with icicles, only for Susora to break them instantly. However, this turns out to be a distraction as Rin casts a fire carpet trick behind it and unleashes it on the baddie, who gets severely scarred but survives it. As soon as they both finally acknowledge each other's strength, all the fallen soldiers around them convert into zombies and surround them, making them wonder what in the world is going on. Back in Dortisheim's camp, Enimicus turns into a Dark Lord and reveals that he cast a spell on the entire battlefield before the fight began. Ariel recognizes this energy from a 200-year-old battle, the Bloody Rhapsody, and Enimicus reveals that his spell toys with the minds of humans and makes them immune to fear and pain, essentially turning them into zombies. He then turns to the Duke and says that it was very easy to manipulate him by using his victim mindset against him, since he is the younger son of the royal family, which, by default, makes him useless. He further reveals that even though he acted like his lackey all these years, he never considered him his master because that spot only belongs to Lord Sugar Mommy. This reminds Taichi of the conversation he had with the dragon, and he realizes that Enimicus is talking about the same guardian woman. Right then, the psychopath announces that he turned all these humans into zombies because his boss lady asked him to, before telling his minions to storm the battlefield and devour whoever they find. Following this, he offers his soul to Satan and turns into a 90s sci-fi villain. Back on the battlefield, as Lemia notices the weird magic circle and observes the transformation of the soldiers, she realizes that someone is trying to recreate the bloody rhapsody. She narrates the entire story to Mayura, explaining that a battle between two nations suddenly went out of hand 200 years ago, when their soldiers started turning into zombies. These zombies devoured everything on the battlefield, but didn't stop there and continued into the towns and other countries until they had devoured 700,000 human beings. She also explains that the spell used for this magic comes from mind control, which is a form of dark magic, wielded by a powerful dark mage. At the same time, Susora and Rin try their best to ward off the zombies, but eventually aren't successful because Rin refuses to send them to the afterlife. As Susora calls her out on this, she offers to hire her as an independent adventurer to fight alongside her, the reward for which would be the safety of both their lives. At the same time, Taichi aura farms in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, but realizes that his drip alone won't help him win this battle. Duke Dordesheim also calls him out on this and says that he has to slay the zombies to keep them at bay, even if they are normal people underneath. He explains that if they don't do it, the zombies will go after the civilians, and admits that he regrets how his actions are to blame for all that is happening right now. This speech leaves a deep impact on Taichi, so he goes back to aura farming and reminds Dordesheim about what he just said to him about necessary sacrifices. As the Duke stares at him in shock, Taichi prepares to trade his humanity for the power to protect Rin and his friends. However, Ariel stops him just moments before and reveals that she has been lying to him about her identity. Taichi doesn't understand this, so she explains that since his extreme power intimidated her, she hid her original form from him and lied about her true potential. In reality, she is an even more powerful being called Silfi, but since she assumed Taichi would harm himself if he tried to harness her true power, she took on this weaker form to deceive him. Just as it finally makes sense to him, Ariel says this is her goodbye to him because she is finally returning to her previous form, whom he can call upon whenever he needs more power. Just as she disappears, Rin runs up to Taichi and says she is glad he's safe. However, he notices the wound on her leg and immediately hugs her. Rin blushes and wonders what is suddenly up with him, but he tightens his embrace and apologizes for letting her get hurt. Just as she says she is totally fine, Taichi promises that he will not let anyone else get hurt now and reveals that he is about to quit being human. He immediately turns around and summons Silfi, the new and improved version of Ariel, who instantly breaks the magic circle and returns all the zombies back to normal. Even Lemia is shocked to see this, as she has never seen such a strong spell break before, and tells Mayura that this is what happens when a summoner with plot armor is born. Meanwhile, as soon as Silfi appears, she addresses Taichi as her master and reveals that even though she is no longer Ariel, she still carries all her memories with her. On the other hand, when Susora hears the word Silfi, she quickly reveals that she is one of the 4 grand spirits in the world, and one of the strongest to ever exist. However, her fangirling is interrupted when Taichi locates the root of all problems, Enimicus, in the tent. This weirdo injects radioactive steroids into himself to attain his final form and keeps thanking his goddess for blessing him with this strength. The sight scares Taichi, so he turns to Rin and asks if she will still be by his side if things go south, only for her to offer him a fist bump again and swear that they will always be together, no matter what happens. Just then, Enimicus finally breaks out of the tent and takes a flight, only for Taichi to activate Silfi's powers and follow him into the sky. Once they are face to face, he asks Enimicus about who this woman is, to which he says she is the goddess of their world who controls everything in it. He then charges at Taichi with a punch, but the Giga Chad easily blocks it and pushes him back, demanding that he give him straight answers if he wants to live. Enimicus laughs and tells Taichi that he still doesn't know who he is, and reminds him that he could already hear spirits before he came to this world, which is why he was chosen by his goddess. He further yaps about how this lady is the one who orchestrated everything up until this moment, just so Taichi would become her ultimate weapon when the time comes. This finally blows Taichi's fuse, and he wonders who in the world he thinks he is to call them a weapon. Just as Enimicus tells him to be glad, Taichi restructures his face and treats the loser like his punching bag, all while delivering a speech about how he couldn't care less about their little world peace scheme. He calls them out on their hypocrisy and questions how they can be the saviors of the world when they keep unaliving humans as they please, and further adds that the only thing he cares about is the people close to him. As Taichi lands a final punch and smashes Enimicus into the ground, the idiot provokes him and says he still cannot unalive a human, which is his weakness. However, Taichi states that he said goodbye to his humanity before his battle, just as he materializes lightning in his hands and turns him into ashes. A few days later, Tai Chi wakes up in his room, surrounded by his baddies, and quickly asks Rin about her injury. She reassures him that Mayura healed her with her magic, just as Lemia congratulates him for saving all of them and their kingdom. Suddenly, the door bursts open, and Charlotte barges in with tears in her eyes, glad that Isekai'd is finally awake, all while Lemia teases him for being such a chick magnet. Over the next few days, as the city goes back to normal after the war, the gang receives expensive gifts, rewards, and titles from the king, and the dust starts to settle. At the same time, Dortenheim receives a death penalty from Gilmar for his rebellion, and Sumela severs his neck while Lord stands right next to the king, acting like he had no hand in anything. Eventually, the day of Tai Chi and his team's departure comes, and Charlotte personally sees them off, promising that when they meet again, she will have a solution to send them back home. Later, as they all return home in the royal carriage, Tai Chi wonders about who that mysterious woman is and how he can protect his loved ones when she strikes again. Will Tai Chi ever find out who this secret baddie is? Let us know in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more awesome recaps.